G'day everyone. So I was lucky enough to ride the Specialised Turbo Levo e-bike the other weekend at the demo day they did up at old Hiddenvale, or it's called Hiddenvale Adventure Park now. Pretty amazing actually. There's a lot of haters on e-bikes, but I was pretty impressed with it in the end. It's not easy to ride. I mean, sure it gives you help up the hills, but if you want to ride it hard, due to Australian laws, it's only limited to 250 watts and 25 k's an hour. So above that, if you push more than 250 watts, or if you push faster than 25 k's an hour, the help stops. Okay, so I was researching this. I knew that Australian bikes only put out 250 watts due to Australian law, but I had a look at the US version of the Specialised website, and the US gets 530 watts, which is more realistic because it's quite easy to pump out 530 watts for a short amount of time in mountain biking, and it would make the experience of riding this a whole lot of difference. So everything else that I mentioned about the being hard, not being able to keep up, not being able to catch people when they pass you, that would just make a whole lot of difference if you had 530 watts to play with. But anyway, just keep that in mind. So what this means is if somebody passes you, or if you want to go faster than that, and in mountain biking you often will give real short bursts of high power, and I'm no Olympic racer by any means, but you still easily can push past 250 watts just going up a hill for a short burst. Or if someone passes you and they also happen to be on another bike, a Turbo Levo, then it's a bit hard to catch. So on my first ride that I did, the guided ride, I looked at my heart rate afterwards, and I think I averaged about 140 and maxed at 167. So it's not like you're just pedaling along and the thing is helping you. And yeah, I'll let the guy from Specialised explain. You'll see in the video shortly. But it's not a bike that has a hand throttle, so you can't spin the back wheel, and it's not. You have to pedal for it to help you. So they explained to everyone that's called a pedelec bike rather than an e-bike. Yeah, so have a look at what the Specialised guy says. Put a few highlights in there from the ride, and at the end I did a little bit of talking in front of the bike with my final thoughts. So have a look and enjoy. I certainly did. Thanks, man.
Depending how you ride it, what mode you've got in. We're riding what most people would probably class as first and foremost an e-bike. We like to call it pedal assist. So when you're having these conversations, you had a few people today about when your friends say, "Oh my God, you rode an e-bike, you're such a cheater." Right? You kind of correct them and say, "Well, hang on a second. It's an electric bike, but it's not throttle control. It's a pedal assist bike, which means you need to pedal to make it work. If you don't pedal, it's a beautiful sculpture that sits here and does its own thing. Right? There is no way that you can roost this bike like a motorbike through a corner, because there is no way of actually making the bike go without moving your feet. Okay? The way it works, and I'll talk about how it's all connected in a second, but this is the inside of a motor, which you can have a look at. It'll be on the table over here. Is clearly a standard electric circuit, so lots of copper windings. Obviously the battery connection, where the power is going to come from, clips into here. But the magic and why it's so quiet and so smooth is because of the belt drive. When you pedal down, and the smile-inducing acceleration that every single person here has already experienced. Right? Did anyone have a frown on their face? No. Exactly. Okay, so that brings me to my next point about your friends who are going to say, "Oh my God, you're such a cheater." It's like, well, it's the biggest smile I've had on my face riding a bike for a long time. Right? I might have had a massive smile on my face yesterday from riding my trail bike, but this thing just amplified it because it's new, it's exciting, and it kind of takes you back to why you ride bikes in the first place. And that is the absolute core of what this thing exists for. Not for racing, not for Strava, not for trail damage or anything else like that. It's a mountain bike to have fun. So, I'm just giving all your arguments here for all those friends that are going to think what you did. still beat.
Oh yeah, I'm still doing 160 heart rate.
Let's go.
Bert, Bert.
All right, take it away. If you want to chase him, get in behind.
Go on, let a couple go.
He's gone already. You lost him.
So would I buy one? Well, I guess there's a few things to consider. One of them's price. They're about 6 to 8 grand for one of these things, so you'd have to have a bit of cash to be able to afford it. Another consideration is who you're going to ride with. So unless your mates all had these as well, then it'd be pretty weird riding one of these on your own. I've just pedalled up here without much effort, and there's two guys still coming up this big hill. They're nowhere to be seen yet, so you'd spend most of your time riding at the top of the hill with your mates, and then they'd be giving you stick the whole time, and then you'd be riding down the hill and they'd be saying, oh, you're on an e-bike, blah blah blah. And then there's fitness. I mean, if you're just training for either another discipline or you're just training to just stay fit, then you know, obviously this thing doesn't take as much fitness. It can though. And if you're a Strava bro and you want to do your Strava segments, then there's that. You know, I don't know if you can label your rides as e-bikes, but you can't do your normal Strava segments and compare yourself to everyone else because you're on a different class. So there's those things to consider before you'd answer yourself, would you buy one? This is just a stupidly steep fire road. Just soft pedaling. You can hear the motor kick in. There's a little steep thing. So there is one more thing to consider which I haven't talked about yet, and that's access to trails. And I've heard that some trail managers in the US and Australia and probably other places have banned access to e-bikes for trails at this point in time. And that's probably more got to do with them being Luddites rather than just actual evidence that these bikes can damage trails, because after having ridden one of these for the best part of a day, I can guarantee you these things aren't going to do any more damage to any trails than any other mountain bike would. Like I said, like the Specialised guy said, you can't spin the wheel, you can't roost it. They may be a bit heavier. The one I rode was 22.5 kilos, but under normal circumstances, when you're riding a trail in dry conditions, when the trails are meant to be ridden anyway, you're not going to do any more damage than a normal bike would. So there's that to consider. But Specialised with these demo days are going out of the way to explain to governments, I think, and trail managers and basically the general public, so they'll pass it on by word of mouth that this can't happen. So that's great. That's great that they're trying to push that. I guess they're trying to sell the bikes, but hey, it's a new technology which is going to let a lot of people ride. So the good thing about these is, so someone who, for some medical reason, or they're just getting into it and their fitness is not good enough yet, and they want to start and they want to go mountain bike and they can't keep up with maybe the other people, this would be great for them. I personally would like to get my wife out on one of these. It'd be great to, get her out, and she could probably keep up with me a lot more than she would without it. Also, if you were going to commute, this would be great for commuting, and then you could use it as a mountain bike on the weekend. And as advertised by Specialised, they are first a mountain bike, second an e-bike, and I'm pretty sure they come with the boost spacing on the hubs and forks. So what this means is you can switch between wheels. So the one I had the 6 fatty or 27.5 plus wheels on them. You can switch between the wheel sets and put a 29er wheel set on, or the 27.5 plus. So if you had 2 wheel sets, you could switch between and have one for commuting, one for mountain biking, and that'd be perfect. Obviously, still probably an expensive option, but it'd make a commute easier. It'd bring the work a bit closer to you if you had to do a sort of 30-ish kilometre commute. This would be perfect for that if you had another wheel set with some sort of road tyres on. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this little mini review, and as I said before, I certainly enjoyed filming it. It was one of the better days on mountain biking I had out. After the guided ride in the morning, we had the option to go and grab every other bike you could or you would like from any of the Specialised fleet. And I really wanted to ride one of the Enduros because I haven't ridden the long travel bikes before. But the mate of mine and I who were there, Pete, we actually ended up staying on these bikes. And you had a limit of 40 minutes. You had to bring the bike back after 40 minutes. And what this bike meant we could do was that we could get out to the back of the park. There's a trail out there I wanted to ride called Skyfall that I'd heard a lot about. And what this bike meant we could do is we could get out there, climb the climb, ride the trail, and get back in the 40-minute limit. And there's no way you could have done it on a normal bike. And there were some guys at the bottom of Skyfall who started giving a stick about the e-bike thing too, and we said, hey, we just rode out here, we've only got 40 minutes and we're going to get back. If we had a little bit more time, we could do that climb again and do Skyfall again, because on downhillish tracks like that, where you're going downhill, as I mentioned before, above 25 k's an hour, the bike gives you no help. So there's that. You can go a lot longer to get over the boring bits, and I think that's probably the biggest benefit I saw. The bike will help you get over the boring bits like fire roads or climbs. If you just like doing the downhill stuff, excellent for that. Excellent. The bike just gets you there. You get there and you do the enjoyable stuff. You still get a bit of a workout, as I mentioned before, and then you can fit more into one day. So if you're time poor, there's another thing there. If you wanted it, you can do a hell of a lot more, probably runs of your favourite runs, than if you had to pedal all the way up the hill or pedal along a boring fire road. So thanks again, guys, for watching, and yeah, see ya.
Holy fuck! That was a surprise.